Okay, folks, listen to that noise. Listen to that hubbub in the background. That's the noise of 300 skeptics eating biscuits at morning tea. Eerie, scary, chilling, isn't it? Particularly if you're a biscuit.
Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 216 for the 8th of December 2012. Richard Saunders here with you from a partly cloudy Sydney, Australia. And, oh, lucky me, I'm right under the flight path today, for some reason. So if you hear the odd 747 or A380 or whatever it is overhead, you'll understand why. Every now and then it just seems to be my turn for the flight path. Never mind. On this week's show, the first of some of our reports from the Australian Skeptics National Convention held last weekend in Melbourne, Australia. And, well, I really must congratulate the organising committee for the convention down there in Melbourne. What an effort. What an effort. What a wonderful event they put on. And it's a little mark of how good it was. Even though I wasn't really part of putting it all together, I was getting lots of compliments as a sort of a representative of Australian skeptics by people who went telling me what a great time it was, and they loved the speakers, and the atmosphere was really good. The venue was fantastic. What a wonderful place to have the convention. So all those people who bought tickets over the last few months, thank you. And it was great to meet so many Skeptic Zone fans there at the convention. And for all you people who missed out, don't worry. There's another convention coming up in a year's time in Canberra, and I guess we'll be talking more about that in the months to come. But for now, we have many wonderful interviews and insights and reports coming up from the Australian Skeptics National Convention. Thanks again to Maynard, who was there running around, and people who were at the convention will know what I mean, running around with his microphone. We're going to kick off today's show, however, with a report from the awards. The Skeptical Awards, the Bent Spoon Award, the Skeptic of the Year Award, special life memberships, and a very special Life Achievement Award that were given at the convention. That's coming up at the top of the show. And also in today's show we include a report from our good friend and reporter Tory Shepherd, who was at the Skeptics Convention. For what it's worth, Tory Shepherd on the Skeptics. As appeared in, and I've got it right here in front of me, online of course at thepunch.com.au, and just the other day, Friday the 7th of December, in the MX magazine, which is handed out to thousands and thousands of commuters in Sydney, Melbourne, I think other capital cities as well. So thousands of people would have heard Tory's report, which I'll read out a bit later. Then after that we have a report, an interview with Brian Dunning. Brian Dunning from Skeptoid has some very big news about Skeptoid and its increasing outreach into the world. Not to be missed, special interview and insights with Brian Dunning and a very major announcement. And then to wrap up the show, it's a Maynard special report from the day that Maynard and I joined James Randi, DJ Grothy and a bunch of other skeptics and visited McKinnon Secondary College in Melbourne so Randy could speak to the children there. It turned out that that day happened to be a heat wave, and the air conditioning broke down in the hall. Well, wasn't quite up to it. What a day it was, folks. Wow. Full report coming up at the end of the show. James Randi visits a high school. But for now, it's time for me to run downstairs. I'll put on some shoes first. Open the fridge. Maybe make myself a pineapple and banana smoothie. Maybe. And let you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. A tradition at the Australian Skeptics National Convention for many years has been the awarding of various skeptical awards. Chief amongst these is the Bent Spoon Award for the perpetrator of the most preposterous piece of paranormal or pseudoscientific Piffle. And of course the more recent award, Skeptic of the Year. I, together with Victorian Skeptics President Terry Kelly, were delighted to present some of the awards.
It's off to a good start tonight, folks. I want to publicly acknowledge somebody who has, for the last couple of years... I think somebody who has worked tirelessly to turn the music down. Somebody who has been working tirelessly for the skeptical cause, and it's a wonderful example of his dedication, his enthusiasm, and without whom the Skeptic Zone podcast would have probably fizzled by now. Can you please join me in publicly thanking Maynard?
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm serious. His enthusiasm and the number of reports he's given me for the Skeptic Zone podcast has really kept the show going, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the work of the reporters on the Skeptic Zone, but Maynard has really been above and beyond the call of duty.
Love you, Maynard!
Let's get to the fun part of the evening, and we're going to kick off with the Bent Spoon Award, folks. The Bent Spoon Award. It is getting heavy. It's got what, 28 years or so of plaques on there. It's
full of energy unknown to science.
Full of energy unknown to science. The spoon was bent by a magician, we believe, and the woods from Noah's Ark. It's all happening. It's all happening. All right. So shh. We can't mention that name. The Ben Spoon Award, it's been a favourite of the Australian Skeptics for many years. There's been some great winners over the years. Not so great winners over the years, maybe. We have an interesting list this year. For the full list, please visit www.skeptics.com.au. You can read all the lists, all the nominations. The finalists, as voted on by various skeptics, are Gary Goodfellow and Shuzi Q power bands, Fran Sheffield of Homeopathy Plus, or hisses, Nature's Way Natural Medicines Homeopathic Products. I'm detecting a theme here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the spoon itself, there's a plaque right on the top here. It says, the Australian Skeptics Bent Spoon Award, presented by James Randi, Dick Smith and Phil Adams. In that sense, I would like to invite James Randi to the stage to announce the winner. The envelope. BS, Bent Spoon. And the winner is...
I have no idea who this honor goes to, but I will be finding out very shortly because I've done this sort of thing before. And let me see. This is usually an engraved... No, it's just simply written with a ballpoint pen. And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, Fran Sheffield. Homeopathy Plus. And very, very much deserved, I must say. Very much deserved.
Here's some topics from their latest newsletter. The homeopathic option for whooping cough. A homeopathic history of malaria. Do antibiotics make people fat? Former skeptic, now true believer. Treating trauma naturally. Who knew? Homeopathy for ringing ears. And you're sitting down? Good. Homeopathy, rabbit plagues, and Nazi Germany. I am not making this up. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in a giant raspberry for Fran Sheffield? Thank you.
The Skeptic of the Year is a really important award. The winner this year
to me is really important, because I actually was pushing fairly hard. It can be a person or it can be an organisation. And this year it's actually an organisation. You actually heard a presentation today about these people. They're involved in really big issues. They're already hard-working, busy people, but they've been really important and influential. And the person who is actually going to come up and receive the award on their behalf has won the Skeptic of the Year award before, twice, I believe. I want to announce with great pride and pleasure that the Skeptic of the Year award has been won by the Friends of Science and Medicine. And to accept the award on their behalf, Loretta Marin.
This is terrific, because one thing I forgot today was to acknowledge the grant that the Skeptics gave our group to keep us going. And so thank you very much for the Skeptics for doing that. It was very important. We're self-funded. In fact, we started with giving $150 each, and that really paid for a post office box and postage. And so that's just wonderful for us to do that. I'm accepting this on behalf of 4 amazing professors. Professor John Dwyer, I believe he won the Skeptics of the Year award in 2001, Alistair McKinnon, Professor Marcelo Costa, and Professor Rob Morrison, and more recently Dr. Cameron Martin. So thank you very much. It's been a lot of work this year, but something that we hope we've established an organisation that will go on for a long time, and things like this will certainly help. So thank you very much.
Other awards on the night were life memberships to Dr. Richard Gordon, former president of the Australian Skeptics here in New South Wales, and to long-time Victorian skeptic Ken Greatorex. Congratulations to both men, and thank you for your many, many, many years of contribution. And then there was the Fred Thornett Award, given for the promotion of reason to a member of the public. This year, the Fred, as it's called, went to teacher Adam Van Langenberg from McKinnon Secondary College. Congratulations, Adam. And now we come to the very special Lifetime Achievement Award.
This is a particularly special award. In fact, it's only been given in the entire history of Australian Skeptics. This award has only been given once before. This is how rare and special this award is. I'm not going to dally too much with it. The previous recipient was Barry Williams, the mainstay of Australian Skeptics for many, many years. And we presented him with a little urn of ashes, because he's a cricket tragic, of course. So I would like to present the special Lifetime Achievement Award to somebody who, literally, words just fail me. Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient is James Randi. Now, not only does James get this wonderful certificate, which will take pride of place in the office there, I'm sure, he gets a very special little award. We're calling this the straightened boomerang, as opposed to the bent spoon. It's actually a bull roarer. If you swing this around your head, it makes a wonderful sound, and a little inscription on the back: Australian Skeptics Lifetime Achievement Award, James the Amazing Randi, December 2012.
It's going to be a noisy night in the hotel tonight. I can just imagine now, and on the walls from next door. Ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you, first of all, I have to say that to have been invited here along with my 2 colleagues, Brian and DJ, of course, having been so singularly honored in this way. I came a long way over a long period of time and wondered all the way along the way, how am I going to say thank you? This inspires me even more. And on behalf of my two colleagues, I want to express our very sincere gratitude for your signal of appreciation of our efforts. I've worked very hard over the years to make sure that our message is carried from pole to pole and from one side of the earth to the other, and we've done well, but there's much more to be done, because there are tens of thousands of people in countries all over this globe who still haven't quite heard the message that superstition is not to be tolerated. It is very negative for society, for any civilization, and has led to the downfall of civilizations over history, and we have not learned well from that. I'm very proud to have this award and to have been invited here, as I say, with my colleagues, and it's very hard for me to express my gratitude. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again and again. Thank you so much.
Why Wallowing in Woo-Woo is Bad for Your Health, by Tory Shepherd, as appeared on thepunch.com.au and in MX magazine on December 7th, 2012. It's not often I spend a weekend with people happily clapping and speaking in awed tones about a venerable dude, but I overcame my fears of group thinking and circle jerking to go to the Australian Skeptics National Convention, featuring James the Amazing Randi. Some friends of mine were pretty skeptical about the skeptics. Why, they wondered, would people be so overly eager to run around and interfere with other people's lives and beliefs? They had a point. There is such a thing as Skeptoid, a glee of ruining the fun of others, of punching holes in their trusted rituals and treatments. I, can be just a tad righteous. If people want to wallow in woo-woo, where's the harm? As Randi, a legendary magician turned paranormal investigator, points out, believers in bunkum are unsinkable rubber ducks who will always pop back up again, no matter how often their beliefs are punctured. So why are skeptics so keen to hold them under? Most people are skeptics not because they enjoy ruining someone's day, but because they know that false beliefs do cause harm. People die of dodgy health treatments. People spend billions on rubbish pills. Oh, and there's this whole notion of truth that is generally considered quite important. Take the winner of the Bent Spoon Award, for example. Fran Sheffield is a Sydney homeopath who claims, among other things, that homeopathy can be helpful in treating domestic violence. Her website claims that homeopathic medicines can be used in first aid, for autism, for AIDS. They can't. They don't work. They're mostly a mixture of water and magical thinking. And if you've tried to treat someone with anaphylactic shock with a bit of diluted flower petal, you've had some very clear example of harm woo-woo can do. Comedian and skeptic Lawrence Leung pointed out that psychics who believe, or pretend, that they can talk to dead people are not just taking vulnerable people's money, they are also interrupting the grieving process. Their deceit stops the wound healing properly. Dr. Ken Harvey, Adjunct Associate Professor of Public Health at La Trobe University and serial pain in the TGA's arse, argued that the Therapeutics Goods Administration is complicit in fooling consumers by approving unproven treatments. He says they'll register a product if it's shown not to be dangerous And this imprimatur can give the impression that a machine that just goes bing actually does something, when in fact its efficacy is untested. And then, of course, there's the harm done by anti-vaxxers, of whom we've all heard quite enough over the past weeks, months and years. And as we end the date of the hoax-alypse, December the 21st, when the vulnerable, the gullible and the defrauded believe the world will end, there are reports that young people are so worried they're feeling suicidal. If you haven't heard of the Doomsday hoax, it goes as follows. An ancient Mayan calendar runs out on that date, and therefore a planet will smash into the Earth and obliterate us. There are some pseudoscientific details, but it's all fear-mongering in essence. Last week, the Russian government had to deal with a panicking population trying to stock up for the end times. Belief in this scenario is so widespread that NASA has had to work very hard to debunk it and to respond to worried emails from all over the world. NASA astrobiologist David Morrison said he'd been contacted by young people too worried to sleep or eat, and by some who were suicidal with fear. So the trepidation I felt on the weekend about watching a bunch of skeptics all furiously agreeing with each other disappeared. Because they're right. Truth matters. Bullshit causes harm. And it is vitally important that we try to pull the plug on all those unsinkable rubber ducks. You can follow Tory Shepherd on Twitter, simply at Tory Shepherd, ToryShepherd.
Hey, Kenny.
Oh, hi, Tom.
Nice day at this park, yeah?
Yes, great weather.
Oh, look, a unicorn.
Unicorn? There are no such things as unicorns, silly.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Hey, guys, what are you arguing about?
Tom thinks unicorns are real.
They so are.
Let's look this up in the Skeptics Dictionary.
The what?
How can we do this in this park? There is no computer here.
You guys probably don't know about the Skeptics Dictionary app. Available now for iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch in the App Store.
Wow, cool.
The app lets you access all of the great Skeptics Dictionary articles when you're on the go. Here, let me look up unicorns.
Oh, cool. Kenny, prepare to be proven wrong.
It says here, the unicorn is a creature from fables.
Aha!
Actually, I see now that someone just dumped their ice cream cone on that horse's head. Thanks, Skeptics Dictionary iPhone app.
Well, folks, here I am in beautiful California. I know I've been back in Australia, but I've flown back secretly to California. Well, no, I haven't. It's all a lie. I'm here with another great liar, Brian Dunning. Hi, Brian.
What a terrible insult. I work so hard at getting my information correct, and here I am being lambasted publicly.
Well, I mean, get used to it. I mean, you are used to it, aren't you? No,
Very much.
Of course, Skeptoid is one of our favourite podcasts, and for the past few weeks we've been hinting and alluding to a very interesting and important announcement from Skeptoid, Brian, and, well, here's your opportunity to tell the world.
As many of my listeners know, I am trying to... I would love to get Skeptoid to reach a broader market, so I often choose topics that are in various genres, various industries, hoping to attract new markets, and finally I'm taking probably the biggest step in reaching a new market. This is Usually the listeners to Skeptoid are used to hearing me say, "You're listening to Skeptoid. I'm Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com." And now they're going to hear...
您现在收听的是 Skeptoid， 我是丽丝，这里是 Skeptoid.com.cn。
Wow. And you did that so well, Brian. How did you change your voice? No.
So I'm taking selected Skeptoid episodes and I'm bringing them to China. And I'd like to introduce to you today my Chinese host.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lizzie, and I'm from mainland China.
Uh-huh.
I have been living in the United States for about 5 years.
Okay.
And I studied translation and interpretation, and also I'm always a big fan of science. So that's what interests me about the show, that I can combine my interest and my skill together and to help to deliver the show in Chinese.
That's such a good attitude, and you've got such a lovely, soft speaking voice. I think.
Thank you.
You do. It's really easy to listen to. No wonder people favoured your voice. I think that's.
I was really flattered to know that people like my voice.
And do you
So
find
just
it,
starting.
after 5 years living in the United States? I know I've tried to learn a different language. I can sort of get by in German, as a matter of fact.
Really?
But after living in a country for 5 years, it must be interesting to have two languages going on inside your head all the time.
Yeah, actually, that's especially when I was in school receiving my training in translation. You always have to, switch from English to Chinese, and the other way around.
And the other way around,
you have
yeah.
to get used to that.
You have to
when
get.
you do that.
You do, absolutely. And when you've been recording the episodes in Chinese, and that's a silly question. Of course, it's all written out in Chinese, so you're
Yes.
just reading the characters as they're written out. That must be an interesting project. So, are you actually doing the translating yourself, or you're just reading the finished?
I'm doing both, the translating part and the recording part. So I think it's very important because I can understand. If I'm just reading out something I never, seen before in English, then probably won't make sense to me. Why is in that way? Because a lot of topics are really has a lot of professional knowledge and terminology. So
it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job to get a huge chunk of text or information and then translate it into another language and make it sound good and make sense.
No, it's actually a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's only like a 10-minute show in English, and it might be shorter. It varies from each episode. But actually a lot of work we have done background.
Yeah, because you have to get the meaning right.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it still has to say the same thing that the original English episode said. You can't have a different conclusion at the end or something.
No, of course, it has to be 100% faithful to the original source material. But it's also, we have to adjust the language style so people can understand better, because you have to take into consideration the culture difference and different structure of language. And and what people used to hear in their radio podcast.
Yes, absolutely right. And of course, well, it's interesting because I'm so used to listening to Skeptoid with Brian's voice. That's quite that's quite interesting. So to hear it in another voice, let alone in Chinese,
completely different.
So basically the idea is we're just going to take a Skeptoid and we're going to put it in the Chinese iTunes store, which is a fantastic opportunity because it's pretty much wide open. There are very, very few podcasts in the Chinese iTunes store, certainly in this category. And I think this is going to be a huge opportunity for us to reach basically the world's largest market.
Well, this is quite a coup for the Skeptic Zone podcast, I must say. I'm actually speaking to the two voices of Skeptoid. How about that? That's very exciting.
I think the biggest challenge here, and something that probably a lot of people are wondering, is what about the topics? A lot of people have said to me, the Chinese government is going to block your website, or a lot of the topics aren't going to have any meaning for a Chinese audience. Lizzie, what do you think about that?
From the topics we selected so far, I don't see anything that will cause that problem, because we are just focused on general scientific topics, and it's nothing really sensitive, politically or religious in terms of religion.
And I think that's a pretty wise move, because that's a fight or a topic for another occasion maybe. Initially, you just want to get good interest in good, interesting science and the sort of things you do to reach a broader audience.
There's a lot of topics that I've done on Skeptoid that cover like a small ghost story in some city in America. Well, of course, nobody in China is going to have ever heard of that. So that's not one of the topics that we're going to choose.
How did you decide, out of the 300 plus episodes of Skeptoid, how did you decide which ones to start with?
Well, that's a good point. You mentioned that there's 350 or so episodes right now. And so that gives us a lot to choose from, because a lot of those we have to scratch off the list right away. We're not doing student questions. We're not doing corrections. We're not doing listener feedback. And, of course, we're not doing any of the topics that are too United States-centric or too European-centric. So these are ones that are just general interests that we think anyone in the world would enjoy.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now that and forgive my ignorance here, but the Chinese language which these are in is Mandarin?
Yes.
There you go, I got it right.
That's what we use for the mainland China, the major part. Yeah.
Okay.
I should also talk about how we chose Lizzie for this project. I had, I guess, a total of, I talked to a lot of Chinese hosts, and I got voice recordings from 5 of them. And we sent those 5 to a focus group of people that I have in China, and they listened to them all, and overwhelmingly they preferred Lizzie's voice. So
that's nice to know, Lizzie. Yeah, how about that? That's
and then just by raw chance, Lizzie lives about 2 blocks away from me. That in the whole United States, that
I was
just
surprised to know that too.
Absolute chance. Amazing.
That's excellent. That's very good to know. Well, look, this is really exciting. As somebody who has a very keen interest in Skeptoid, the Skeptoid podcast, as I do, and a good friend of Brian, I'm so delighted that you've come on board.
Thank you.
And I will listen to the episode, of course. I may not understand it. In fact, I won't. But I will love to know it's out there and have a listen to it. And I encourage all the Skeptic Zone listeners, for heaven's sake, if you know somebody in China or you're Chinese yourself, or you spread the word. And what's that website they should run to, Brian?
It is skeptoid.com.cn. And you say the same way, you pronounce it the same way in Chinese, right? On the podcast, you actually say
Skeptoid.com.cn.
And people in China know what that means.
Yeah, they know where to go.
Wow, how about that?
I tried to get Skeptoid.cn, but someone was cyber squatting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Well, yeah, as I say again, it's very exciting news, and I hope you get a thousands of more listeners. That would be fantastic.
Well, please. I mean, that's the idea. So, yeah, anyone who knows if you're Chinese, just like Richard said, if we want to spread the word within China and the whole Chinese-speaking world as much as possible. This is, I think it has the potential to be enormous.
I think so.
So I'm very excited about it.
Well, Brian and Lizzie, great to see you here in sunny California, and all success to Chinese Skeptoid.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.您现在收听的是 Skeptic Zone， 我是丽丝，我们的网址是 skeptoid.com.cn。Skeptoid 是一个科学类 podcast 节目，我们每期都会讨论新的话题，包括探讨流行的传奇故事、阴谋论，或者是声称超自然的现象。您可以到 iTunes 的中文网站下载 Skeptoid， 或者是访问我们的网址 skeptoid.com.cn。 The Skeptoid Science Podcast by Brian Dunning is now available for Chinese audience. Please tell your Chinese friends to visit skeptoid.com.cn or find Skeptoid on the Chinese iTunes Store. I'm Li Si from skeptoid.com.cn.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Riddle me this. What do you get when you mix 300 high school students, a heat wave, and James Randi? Yes, I know it has the potential to be smelly, but it's not what you think. We thought we'd actually find out what would happen if we did this on the 29th of November, and we made our way with Mr. Richard Saunders in the boot of the car and a whole bunch of other skeptics who actually got to sit inside to the concert hall at McKinnon Secondary College in Melbourne. Now, this is a school with its own skeptical club founded by Mr. Adam van Langenberg, or Mr. V, as the students call him. Now, he's the same teacher who won the Fred Award this year, so you can just imagine how excited the students were to have James Randi speak. I caught up with some of them just before James Randi took the stage. Look, where are we and what is going on here? I think I'm going to talk to the only person in the room who knows.
We're here to listen to James Randi at McKinnon Secondary College. He's going to give us a lecture about skeptics.
Right. And you're all in a group. What group are you in?
The Skeptic Society.
Now, why did you join the Skeptic Society?
Because it's awesome.
Okay. And what got your interest? Go, hang on, I'll come along to this and use my own time. Why did you get into it?
Because it sounded like a fun thing to do at recesses and lunches.
Okay, yeah. And have you learnt anything interesting in the society so far?
Yeah, so much. Things on alternative medicine, on ghosts, on this. Yeah.
And tell us, what's Adam really like?
His jokes are horrible.
Yeah, here's someone... Look, you've got the gossip on him. What's he like?
As my maths teacher, it's just so painful to put up with him for so many periods.
He told us he was English literature.
He's also IT as well, but no, he's great.
And what have you learnt being in the Skeptic Society?
I've learnt a lot, such as the fact that unicorns don't exist.
Oh,
What? Unicorns do exist.
Yeah, but I've got a drawing of one on my wall. It's pink.
Well, exactly. You have no evidence that unicorns don't exist. It can't be proven, okay? It can't be definitively disproven, sorry.
Man, this sounds like a skeptic class to me. Hey, did you participate in the bucket on the head test?
Well, technically I did. I didn't sit with the bucket on my head, but I did stare at the people with buckets on their heads.
Great. Was it a great experiment to do?
Yes, but it's not very accurate.
No, well, you got to start somewhere, hey. It's raw data, I think they call it. I'll make my way along the line of people. Thanks for that, everybody. Yeah, we're here to see Randy today. What do you reckon he's going to talk about? You want to take a guess?
I actually have no idea, to be honest.
But it's good to be out of the sun. It's about 127 outside, isn't it?
Well, yeah, in Fahrenheit, probably, yeah.
Good. That's a skeptic for you. Now, what have you learned from being in the Skeptic Society?
I learned a lot, actually, like ghosts, like psychics.
Yeah. And why did you get involved in the Skeptic Society initially?
I just thought it was kind of interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
It is pretty interesting.
More.
Yeah, okay. Now, and why did you get involved in the Skeptics group? And what year are you in, by the way?
In Year 7, and I got involved in the Skeptic Society because it sounded nice, and I've learned all kinds of nice things till then. Well, since then, whatever. I'm not good with tenses.
But you're good at science?
Yes, science is cool. Science is cool, yeah.
Like, actually, while we're here at the Skeptic group at McKinnon High School, we've actually got some women that are involved in the Skeptics group and interested in science, and people are always saying, how can we get more women involved in science or learning about science, and how can we get them involved in skepticism? And here's a couple of them that could probably give us the answer, because you're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, teenagers, actually, which is also not exactly the demographic, usually, for skeptics, but I found skepticism through podcasts, actually, and Maynard, I'm a big fan of yours, actually. I have to say, I love your interviewing style.
The actual Maynard Malays podcast?
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's one of the ones I listen to. Initially, it was the SGU, and now the whole podcast thing is all networked now, so I listen to everything, really, and I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, well, thank you. And so have you found your way through this skepticism through listening to stuff like that as well?
No, I found my way because when Mr. V, at the start of last year, he made...
That's so cool, Mr. V. It's just like Mr. Cunningham, like I think Fonzie always called him Mr. V as well, something like that, yeah. It's very happy days of you.
Anyway, so
Mr. C, he called it, that's right.
At the start of last year, he, said a speech in front of the whole school, and he just said he was really funny, and so it got a lot of people into it, and then eventually I just found myself interested in the things that we would talk about there, because I found myself relating.
Okay. And why did you get involved with the group, and how come you think there aren't more women involved in skepticism?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's a great thing. I got involved with his speech originally, and I came on off because I was busy with other stuff, and then my friend here, Torin, he decided to drag me along. So I've been there every week all year. So.
And what's the area you're most interested in? Is it the paranormal or the way science is applied to everyday life?
I think it's more how the sciences are applied to everyday life, because I've grown up with a lot of science background. So.
What's the field you're interested in?
Chemistry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see a career in that?
Yep, most definitely.
And what do you think there aren't more women coming along and getting involved in the sciences, or is that just a myth?
I think there have been more women in science nowadays. I like our group because it's not purely skeptical. There's also social aspects and a lot of banter, which is fun.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why the church has done so well over the years, because as well as all the doctrine, they've got the fellowship. And I think the fellowship as part of the skeptic thing is a great thing to have as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole feeling of community, really. And, well, I suppose some women wouldn't find so much in the skeptics movement, but I do. I think there is a community there if people are willing to see it. Is like sitting with all these skeptic heavyweights around me. It's really exciting for me, but I don't know, if people that just don't appreciate that community yet wouldn't appreciate that as much.
Okay. Look, I'm a big fan of the Discovery Channel, and there's a lot of ghost shows on there that get my goat sometimes.
Yeah, I hate all the ghost shows.
Chasing UFOs, it's all about doing stuff in the dark and hiding.
I find them entertaining, actually. They make me laugh. They make me laugh a lot.
Yeah, I think that craptastic is the word we're looking for.
It's one of those things which, like, it's so bad, you laugh so hard. But one of the best shows is Mythbusters.
Oh,
yeah.
Great show.
Look, thank you for your time. Oh, and just quickly, what's your names again?
Ronnie.
Elizabeth.
Aya.
Lisa.
Okay, thank you. Now, the temperature outside hitting 38 degrees Celsius, or around about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, over 300 students poured into the hall. And I'm afraid the air conditioning just couldn't handle it on the day. In fact, it may not have been working at all, but anyway, it was a bit smelly in there. The air conditioning just couldn't handle it, and things got hotter and hotter. Even DJ Grothy was reduced to a puddle, and that doesn't happen easily. But nevertheless, the show went on. Let me tell you, people, it was sweating in the underwear, and not in the good way.
But first, before we go on to our main guest, I would like to introduce somebody to you. This is DJ Grothy, all the way from the other side of the planet. So please make him feel welcome. Everyone, it is my big pleasure to introduce the speaker for this afternoon's presentation, the founder of the James Randi Educational Foundation, known throughout the world for his tireless efforts combating unreasoned charlatans, the people who will lie to you and take your money pretending to have supernatural powers that they don't actually have. Please join me in welcoming James Randi.
I don't have any amplification, and at 84 I think I need a bit of amplification in several ways. I'd like to be taller, for one thing, but I haven't found out how to do that. If anyone knows the secret, I'd be happy to talk to you. Now, what I'm really going to be basically talking to you about today is how do we know things? Oh, everybody says, oh, I know this, I know that, and 2 + 2 = 4, and they know things like that, and they've been taught these things, but how do we know that we know things, and how do we go about making decisions on whether or not these things are true? More specifically, as a professional magician, I have a little bit of knowledge about the psychology of the average person. And there's a huge crowd here today, and I think I may have already fooled you. Can you imagine that? And I didn't even try.
James Randi spoke for an hour, almost passing out in the heat. Had to get some water up there to him, but he amazed the students with his stories and shocked them with videos of psychic surgery and the famous fake healer, Peter Popoff. And just when we were ready to carry him off and cool him down and put him in a coffin, he insisted on performing his rope escape and card trick for the students. And just how was it? Well, here's one of the announcements that came over the PA shortly after.
We'll be running a shortened lunchtime and finishing school a bit earlier. So we'll be running with a wet wet weather timetable due to the heat. It will also mean that the wet weather rooms will be open for the students who would like a bit of shade. Please make sure today that you do stay out of the direct sun. The heat is very extreme and very unusual for this time of the year. You will also have for the boys ties off now, so the boys can take their ties off for the rest of the day.
Thank you. Look, well, in Melbourne now, it's currently 36 degrees outside, but it was certainly a lot more than that inside the McKinnon High School hall, where you had a couple of hundred restless kids.
Yes, indeed, I did, and I unwrestled them or something like that. I got through to them eventually, I guess, but it was very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, the temperature inside that hall was very hot. Actually, are you a show must go on guy? Have you ever had to stop a show halfway through and go, that's it, I'm not going to get up there in Niagara Falls with that jacket on, it's too cold?
You don't know how many times I said, the hell with it, but that I only say that backstage. And then the lights come up and the music starts to play and I'm out there like a fool. Yes, I know I've never missed a show that I didn't have a temperature of. I got to be careful how I name temperatures now. You see,
you got to use a small number here.
No. Well, whatever body temperature is, and what is body temperature in Celsius?
It's usually slightly above the hotel room air conditioning.
I see. Okay, gotcha. Well, we won't argue about that, will we? No, but I had a wonderful time here. We exchanged some good moments, and I hope I made my point. It was very difficult. It was very awkward because of the humidity and the temperature, but we managed it.
Look, after all these years, you said critical thinking is potentially a boring thing to the kids there. I think it needs to be given a different word, critical thinking, to warm kids up to it so it doesn't seem like it's hard work.
Yeah, maybe. We should get some glamour going on it.
But look, it was great. The kids enjoyed the tricks and everything, and I could see them going, what's this going on here? And then when you did your stuff, you won them over.
Well, getting smart might be a good. That's a good way. Let's work on that, shall we?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Randy. Go get cool.
I will.
Oh, look, just as an aside here, we're in a corridor and then this IT worker here at McKinnon High School came through. Ben, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
You found out that James Randi was coming to your school. You've got to be excited.
Yes, I did. I had no idea until about, 20 minutes ago?
And what excited me and what I really wanted to talk to you about was you went, my family are young Earth creationists, and you're here and you had a chat with him. What led you to the path of critical thinking and the potential confrontation with your family?
Essentially I read the Bible, which was something I don't think they've actually ever done. Essentially, there's no confrontation. I choose to let them live, they don't, but we'll just, Christmas time is no fun for me. So.
I find it's a good time just to be quiet and let it go.
That's right. I let them think what they think and try to.
So obviously James Randi's been around for a lot longer than you. How did you discover him and the whole skeptical atheist movement?
The internet, obviously, for most people. Essentially, Richard Dawkins' books got me started. And just watching YouTube videos and debates, I found religion had no answer for, anyone really. I don't understand, myself personally, I never understood why in the first place. I always felt.
Was there a moment? Was there a part of the Bible where you went, hang on, did you remember the moment that you thought, I've got to start questioning this a bit further?
I attended a mega church in Melbourne, and there was a large children's thing, and the day they started pushing what you can and can't do, Harry Potter, things like that. I was just old enough when that had just started coming out, and so guys had said don't watch Harry Potter, witchcraft is real, blah blah blah, and it was, hang on a minute, no it isn't. I feel weird here. I always felt weird praying with a group. It's something in the back of my mind was always, why are you doing this? You're not doing anything. Nothing I ever asked for happened or anything along those lines, and so I just sort of continued from there.
Are you much of an atheist activist, or are you just quietly doing it in the background?
I am as much of an atheist activist as I possibly can be. Other than my family, I'm quite vocal. Street preachers and the like get a right royal bashing from me, verbal, obviously, if they do decide to solicit my attention. Wow. More often than not, I don't appreciate that sort of thing.
And can you quote Bible verses if you need to?
No, not really. My partner, however, has a biblical verbal diarrhea. She can absolutely ream them. It's amazing.
And what's her favourite book of the Bible? I always like asking people this one.
Timothy, I believe, is one that she just sort of...
See, that's a bit of an obscure one for me.
That's right, yeah. She, all of the she's a female, obviously, so the women cannot hold authority over men, etc., etc. I think it's, 1 Timothy 2:12 or something, I can't remember really. And she likes to quote that one quite a lot over anyone that's female outside preaching, etc., etc.
Wow. Look, thank you for your time here. I'll let you have a bit of a chat to Randy, and good luck with your street preaching action.
Thank you very much.
Or anti,
yes.
Great.
Did you see that UFO sighting that made the news? What did that latest study about alternative treatments really say? Is this photo making the rounds real or a hoax? Doubtful News is a unique website featuring news about pseudoscience, the paranormal, anomalies, and questionable claims framed with a skeptical view. Come visit doubtfulnews.com every day for news about cryptozoology, conspiracies, shams, scams, and more. Follow us on Twitter at Doubtful News. Critical thinking is essential in assessing today's news. Doubtful News helps you decide, can you really believe this stuff?
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Folks, I tell you what, that day at the high school when James Randi was speaking, it was hot. Like when you think, wow, that's a hot day, it was even hotter than that. But Randi carried on. It was quite remarkable. Dare I say, amazing. Congratulations, Randi, for making it through that incredible experience. And congratulations once again to teacher Adam van Langenberg. A well-deserved award, the Fred Thornett Award he received. And congratulations to his Skeptical Club. And hi, Elizabeth. On next week's show, more insights and interviews from the Australian Skeptics National Convention. There are so many things lined up. So many people in the coming weeks, like DJ Grothy and Brian Thompson and Rebecca Watson and lots of the other speakers who were there. Lots of people who were just there to have a good time and enjoy the convention. Once again, congratulations to the Victorian Skeptics there in Melbourne for putting on a really great event. And before I go, remember that the Skeptic Zone podcast is a listener-supported show. If you feel like contributing, head for www.skepticzone.tv and you can buy us a drink, which is really, in effect, sending us a little bit of donation, or you can chip in with micropayments, less than $1 a week for as long or as short as you like. It really does help keep the show going. But until show 217, this is Richard Saunders, signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.